Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Emergence Days Invitational Season 2, week number 7, as we're hopping into our first semifinal of the night. On the mic is myself, Landon Lano Sanders, joined in part by Taylor Reflections Noble. Buddy, it's great to be with you. Like we said, getting ready to hop into our semifinal, NRG versus Hive. Our first opportunity to watch both these teams on broadcast tonight.
It is, right? And it's going to be a good opportunity to watch Hive in general. We haven't seen Hive too much in the previous weeks of Emergence Days because, unfortunately, they haven't had the best performances. I think in the past 3 weeks, they've ended up finishing off in first round. They've been getting first round. And I think the last time that they ended up making it to semifinals was week 4, I want to say. Or actually, excuse me, like week 3 or week 4. But regardless, though, they've been struggling. NRG, though, one thing is for certain, one of the most consistent teams, and rightly so, in Emergence Days, making it to grand finals. And every single appearance, I think there was only 1 week they didn't, and it's because, well, they didn't play. And what a way not to make it to finals by not playing. But regardless, though, we move into district. Between these two, a district is actually NRG's auto band. So if they win this one, going into Fastcar next, which is, in fact, NRG's best map, at least from what we have observed, I'm going to be a little bit worried for Hive, and we're already starting off 2-0 for NRG leading the way.
Yeah, something to keep in mind is that in the last 2 grand final appearances that Fire and Ice, or rather, excuse me, the NRG have played in, they have lost district for game number 1. So we talked about their auto ban definitely coming in to bite them a little bit. And I know that one team in particular who has kind of credited themselves, excuse me, on the veto process actually has been Hive. The one thing that they have constantly talked about it, their coach, Crazy Train, has always talked about, hey, you know what, one thing that we can always rely on is the amount of maps that we can play.
Sure.
Unfortunately for them, their current pick on district not proving to be the greatest, but hey, that's somewhat to be expected versus this NRG group. And for Hive right now, I think it's been kind of a rough period for them. As you kind of called it, you know, in the first, 3 weeks, they finished top 4.
Right.
The last 3 weeks, all top 8s. Yeah. And so I think for them, this could be some momentum changing. I know that they really want to try to get a W under their belts versus, as Ryan's labeled them, the gatekeepers. Took a solid victory versus the Gear San Diego runners-up in Estral, but still yet NRG a different beast.
Yeah, NRG is totally different, right? I mean, we're talking about a consistent team that's been playing incredibly well, and like I said, it's to be expected. They have tied the record, I think, from Reciprocity with 2 victories back-to-back. Still haven't seen someone win a 3rd victory. This could be NRG's week, but I said that last week, and Rise took it 2-0 in the finals, but we could be seeing potentially another NRG versus Rise final, or we could be seeing that storied NRG versus Reciprocity final that we saw in the past. But regardless, though, Hive is going to be fighting against that. They want to make their way to grand finals for the first time in Emergence Days, but it's still not looking solid off the rip. We do see NRG currently down just a little bit, but they're starting to retake control. We're starting to see them slay out a little bit. And, of course, working their way slowly towards that B. It's going to be neutralized. Eventually, they're going to grab it.
Now we got to take a quick little gain. I think that was Praise who actually gave the ping onto Demise across the map. I'm not sure if that was Explosive who actually got it or if it was, in fact, Praise. Regardless, good communication coming in from NRG as they will clear out the men from Hive over at Bandstand. Looking to try to regain that control. One thing that I think maybe kind of shocked, no pun intended, NRG last week was, of course, their loss to Rise Nation, but it was also, Taylor, the first time that NRG has ever lost in a 2-0 fashion.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you know, we haven't seen NRG lose in a 2-0 fashion, at least whenever it comes to Emergence Days. And, you know, it's kind of been this story every time we watch NRG and they lose to a team, you know, chat starts saying, oh, you know, NRG, they've lost their touch, you know, they need to start stepping it up. And it's not necessarily the case, but I'm not going to lie, Rise in that honeymoon phase, making that roster change clearly paid dividends as TJ just rocks Praise over the little barrier there and gets a second one for that's going to be 2. But NRG still is the most dominant team in this tournament, and losing 2-0 last week I think is only going to ignite the fire more to come out guns a-blazing potentially if they make it to the finals here.
Look at that, player number 7 actually going to be Demise, makes his way over toward A, and I'm not sure if Praise, oh, he nearly does. Just gets that big toe right into the A hill. In the meantime as well, B currently up for grabs. And that's going to be Solar's falling. Explosive still here, trying to pick up the pieces. A near opportunity for a double. Fortunately, he'll get cut down. The progress made it B. Instantly goes the opposite direction. Hive, a much-needed round for them to take, and they are performing at the best level possible. However, we talk about overextensions. We talk about hills up in limbo. NRG doing the same amount of damage over at C as 3 players from Hive rush on through. But look at the top side of the map. Player number 2 versus player number 7. This is big.
Yeah, it's a big win for Solars. He needs to make sure he locks this up. He goes for the aggressive push, gets the finish, and now is going to be working his way towards the neutralization. Hive, though, currently still going to win. But with that break taking place, let's see if it's going to be enough. And actually, it will not be, as Hive is going to be making some breaks, too. NRG will win in about 35 seconds, but I got to say, Hive is putting up a very impressive fight.
There indeed. Hefe trying to carve up the opponents, and he'll do it. Little explosive hits the ground. 237, 235. It's still up in the air. Cog team will currently win based off of the hills that they hold. Can anybody get the break in time? And it's just not looking all that likely. A solid end to our third round. Hive putting up by far, at least in terms of what we've got to watch, their best fight as of yet. But even still then, Taylor, it was not enough.
No, it wasn't. And NRG making those crucial kills in those moments where it matters, specifically on that fight for Bravo. Hive takes that over. And who was it who was over there fighting on for NRG? I want to say it was either, I think it's Solars or Summons, but regardless, though, that fight was great. Ended up, I think, taking 2 players from Hive out, getting a neutralization, ended up in a 1v1, eventually capturing Bravo. That forced Hive to go ahead and try and capture their own home hill, which, by the way, NRG sent 2 players over to. Hive in the end just wasn't able to get it. NRG secures around a close one, but still a 3-0 lead currently. Now this is going to be the last round of the half. You know, lives relatively even on both sides, but you got to be careful, right? This is going to be the fastest respawns, and NRG isn't going to be scared to get in Hive's face and throw bodies at them. So right now Hive needs to make it count when it matters, and that's not the start you want. Solars taking TJ out.
Yeah, Solars doing some great damage up close, also providing some nice pistol work in the meantime. As Tidy will also fall victim to the Gatekeeper's demise. I think Minto rather look like an instrument. As Solars up close, but unfortunately has to watch him fade away off into the distance. That's going to be C, actually going the way of NRG. Finally earning some points after a very rough beginning stage.
It definitely was.
And that's kind of been the talking point for Hive. Great starts and just cannot hold it on right before that finish line. NRG's just there to spoil the party and claim round after round, as this is a much needed one if you're Hive. You could call it the swing round. It's not really a swing round. Just, hey, you win this and you have a chance. You don't, and it's really not looking all that likely. Praise, nice elim there on to Noe.
I like the idea from Hive off the initial, but they spread themselves thin. You saw a lot of stragglers going out. They tried to go for the trip cap off the rip. I don't think they knew it was going to be possible, but they were at least trying to get a home hill plus the neutral hill at any way possible. And they did that for a short time period, but NRG quickly was able to retake that because they're staying in numbers. And unfortunately, whenever you go out and you send stragglers out about, NRG working as a swarm, right, with 3-4 players, you're going to put yourself in 1vx situations. It's not going to work out in the long run, and we're seeing the effects of that right now as NRG is currently taking a 30-point lead, and they've got the map locked in place. They've got the angles locked down as well. We are going to see a fight over here on Bravo, but even so, player number 2 is going to be a huge factor, right? Solars overlooking Bravo, able to lay down some Lancer fire. TJ, as well as his partner, they're not going to have a way to break out of there. It's going to be really tough.
Definitely is. Like I said, that kind of 2 versus 3, if you want to count Solars in the mix over at B. In the meantime, that OE opportunity, actually Price is going to want to hop on the hill, going to go for the decap, make Demise go for the rush, and he's tagging him up a decent amount. Of course, that domination was nearly hinted at. Hive are quickly on the attack, but that's the issue, right, is that Hive trades are not what you can afford right now, considering the deficit that they're facing. Hefe manages to get the revive onto Demise, but Explosive is there just to wreck everything in sight. Buzzer, the clock starting to tick away. And as we fade to black, it is NRG who has a masterful first half. That is a perfect 4-0. And to be honest, Taylor, outside of a few different situations for Hive, if you look at the elimination difference, you're just looking in general at the way the Hive are playing. Some good moments, but overall, that 4-0 is accurate.
It is, but I gotta say this is impressive for this being NRG's auto ban, for them getting dominated last week by Rise on this very map in finals where they lost 2-0. NRG seems to have improved quite a bit. They're working the rotations very well. On top of that, they're winning those mid fights and they're transitioning over to Juice and Info. I gotta say, probably the best that I've ever seen them do. With this being Hive's pick, I'm definitely worried. We're heading into Vasgar next, and we could potentially be seeing a 5-0 here. Drop shot's going to be placed in desperation, maybe to, kind of break up the monotony of those pushes over for the neutral hill. Now, how are people going to break it up? You have to commit for that drop. We're going to see 3 going strong there, 2 players battling in mid, and 1 for the neutral hill, as Mental's going to be the first one to break us in, going against Tidy and TJ up close.
See how it'll work out. Mental up close in personal fights. Unfortunately, he'll have to fade away for now. Summons praised everybody from NRG entering into that kill feed, however, in a positive way. Hefe silenced, and praised will walk away with the prize at the end. The ever-coveted drop shot just goes to show how important it is. No one's even capped a hill yet. E and F, however, starting to go their way. And just as I say that, though, I think that was player number 8 who caused a little bit of a scare in terms of Noe nearly dropped explosive in that spot. Speaking of explosives, praised comes through, just hit markers. It's got to be infuriating if you're praised in that moment just to have those 2 juicy kills in front, but just can't finish it off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? But he still has 1 in the reserve to potentially put the use in the future, as we see Hive stack it up now, 4 strong to go over towards E. Drop shot being placed over. 1 player does get dropped. That's going to be Mental, and that leaves, I believe, Summons all by himself. Explosive, though, working his way over, drop shot in hands, as he chooses not to use it as of now. And I'm kind of curious what his plan is pushing forward. When will that drop shot be utilized? Potentially off the break. TJ will get dropped, picked up by Hefe. A perfect 2-piece opportunity. It goes to waste, as now Explosive will set up to watch Hive off at a distance, as NRG slowly starting to creep over towards E. Eventually, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to happen on E, and I'm curious to see who is going to end up on top.
It's going to be a big fight you have to focus on. Like we said, what? 8 out of the 10 players all honed in on what could be a soon-to-be neutral hill. Of course, indicated. Now NRG have the notice. 65 seconds, this one is done, and Explosive doing exactly what he needs to. Manages to drop TJ for the first frag of this team fight, this bloodbath that's about to form. Noe, not confident with the fight, actually does have some success as Mental drops Explosive. Unfortunate fire coming in their direction. They managed to recoup and be back on the attack as Explosive does knife down Hefe. Tidy in the meantime, going for the drop shot, 2 versus 1. Too many lives, and as I said 2 versus 1, it's 2 versus 2. Players from either side cut down and praised for the 2nd time in a row. Walks away victorious with that drop shot.
And that was a great shot onto TJ. TJ in this cut, right? He was basically being the wall, if you will, for NRG to push in. He wasn't going to allow it. By getting that drop was huge, and Mental not stopping there, taking Noe out. Praise with the drop shot onto Demise as NRG continues to apply that pressure forward. And this is going to be huge, specifically for the fact that Hive is about to break the 200 mark, but NRG clearly is going to be able to overtake them. And now in these last couple of seconds, how is Hive going to react? They've now got to throw their lives away. The domination's coming in place, and NRG's in total control.
I love that play from Solars. Hops on the F hill just to decap it so that they can have the advantage. However, Praise wants to hop in, does not have any team support here, and he'll fall for that. So we kind of go positives to negatives. Maybe him just sacrificing his life at least delays Hive, but even still yet, Hive have to make the play. They have no current points. No hills in their favor. They need to hop in soon. Tidy runs through the ring of fire and does a little bit of a dance. However, it will be NRG who are high-stepping their way to a solid game number 2. But still, NRG, they walk away victorious in this one.
Yeah.
5 rounds to 0. We talk about it. You called it out. District, by no means a map that NRG has felt